আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আমাদের আজকে ৮ম দিন রমাদানের স্পেশালের, যেখানে আমি ইসলামিক হিস্টোরির খুবই এক্সটেন্ডেড বিভিন্ন ইস্যু নিয়ে আসলে ডিসকাশন করতেছি। যার ভিতরে গেছে ২ ডিসকাশনে আমরা ইরানের শিয়া মাযহাব বা ইন জেনারেল ইরানি ন্যাশনালিজমের বেশ কিছু ইস্যু নিয়ে আসলে কথা বলছি, এবং আজকে এই ধারাবাহিকতা এরই আশেপাশে এবং আরো ডিপতে আসলে ইরানের বিষয়গুলো বোঝার চেষ্টা করব। সো শুরু করি, দেন আস্তে আস্তে আমি বিভিন্ন বিষয়ে আসলে কথা বলবো।
But Pakistanis are much just more chill about it. You know, in Iranian society, it's become a culture war, which is a big problem. Like in Pakistani culture, when I hang out with my Pakistani friends here, like I have students who are Pakistanis, they invite me to their home and they have kids and grandkids. And when I go there and it's prayer time, some of their granddaughters who aren't scarfed or don't like look very, normatively religious will wear a scarf and a long roll their sleeve down and pray and then take it off. And then in Iran, that used to be the case, but it's not the case anymore because religion has become a culture war. In America, for maybe other people to have a different context, the flag has become this way. So I remember before 9/11 especially, but even still after 9/11, flying the flag was just seen as a neutral symbol of patriotism. That in liberal and conservative areas you would see, maybe like the conservatives would do it more, but there would be no question that in the liberal area you'll see American flags. Now they've made it so that expressing any sort of patriotism from America is a very right-wing thing. No, maybe the most centrist liberal would, but everyone left of center would never have a flag, would never express patriotism. It's very uncouth. It's kind of like Europe now. That's what religion is in Iran. Even people who previously would have been religious, who in their heart are religious, they wouldn't eat pork. They would want to have religious marriage. They would want their kids to not date before marriage. They would not express religiosity openly because they think it's uncouth to do so. That it's like a symbol of being working class or being like, with the state, or they have these associations with it that didn't even exist even 10, 20 years ago. Forget the Islamic Republic, even 20 years ago, while the Islamic Republic existed.
You gave a really good example, by the way. It crystallized in my head as a beautiful example. The flying flag in America. That's it. Some of our common friends came and there were a younger gentleman with them. I think he was some sort of videographer, video editor or something, and he did not speak a lick of English. His name was Mahdi. Shout out Mahdi if you're not watching this. And Mahdi's a younger guy. He's 21, 22, and we went to some nice restaurants and we're hanging out, and we went to all sorts of like dhaba, street cafes, and then we went to fancy ones as well. And in the fancier ones, he's a young man. He's ogling girls. He's like, oh, look at that one, and look at that one, or whatever. And we're all sort of giggling about, wait till you get married, then Yeah. There's a saying in Urdu that marriage is the hell, is the heaven that the one who enters suffers and the one who does not suffers, from outside. So, I mean, this guy is ogling the women. He's having a fun time, whatever. And he says, these are secular women, right? They're like atheists or whatever. I was like, oh no, they're like this conservative, whatever, because they were dressed in ways that he would thought was more Western. Yeah. It didn't compute in his head that this is not like a political symbol or signaling. They just are. It's just the default way of being.
I didn't understand this. When I went to college at the University of Michigan, because I lived in Iran for a few years in high school before college, so I had this very Iranian mindset. And before that, I was, too young to really think about these things meaningfully. Like, you're 14 years old. What do you really know? So when I was in college as a 19-year-old fresh from Iran and back in America, 18, 19, I remember I was sitting in a break room one time and there was a Muslim girl. Now, I thought she would be like an Iranian. She had her hair dyed blonde. She never dressed conservatively. She was very white-coated. All of her friends were white, and she's Lebanese too, so even like more secular. And there was a bunch of pizza in the break room, but all the pizza that was left was pepperoni pizza. And I don't know what it was, but she said, like, I'm gonna go get food. I didn't eat lunch today. It's like 4. I'm gonna get food. And I said, well, there's a bunch of free food. Just there's like 1 million boxes of pizza here. Just have some. And she said, oh, but it's pepperoni. So I said, so what? And she said, Astaghfirullah, Muhammad. What do you mean, so what? And then I said, well, you're Muslim? And her color, even though it's very white already, just dropped. She said, Astaghfirullah, are you Muslim? Of course I'm Muslim. What kind of question is that? Well, why would you say that? And I was just like, whoa, what's going on? I'm just like, you don't look Muslim that much to me. I thought, you don't wear whatever. Like, that means you're not Muslim, right? Because I had this Iranian mindset like that guy did. And she said, what are you talking about? like, I'm Muslim, I'm Lebanese, my whole village, everyone's praying, everyone's mosque, whatever. Yeah, I don't wear a scarf, but like astaghfirullah, pork, I couldn't eat that. It's ridiculous. I pray, I go to Jummah, and all of a sudden in my brain, it's like the meme, like the old woman is looking, the gears are going. I said, wait, you go to Jummah, you pray, you don't eat pork, but you have dyed blonde hair and you don't wear hijab, and you have like male friends. And I just says, wait a minute, whatever Islam is to them, it's completely different than what we have in Iran. So that's what that Iranian guy is thinking. He sees the Pakistani girls with no hijab and thinks, oh, you're atheist. But obviously, that's not the case.
No. He was shocked by it, and I said even some of them would like support the regime in Iran or Afghanistan. They would support the Taliban.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like for one, bless their hearts, they don't get any of it. It's just words to them.
Mm-hmm.
The other element is that their religiosity and the religious expression, like you put it, that's what it is to them. And I think that. Of course, it's also it is a consequence of modernity, but it's a more natural, as natural as you can be after a colonial reality. Mm-hmm. It's sort of a natural settling of things, of how people just are. Some people dress a certain way and some people dress a certain way. Obviously, we've had our fair share of social experiments, both with religion and both of a secular nature in Pakistan. But nothing as intense as what you have in Iran right now, or similarly in Afghanistan. And again, like you mentioned at the start of the conversation, with the Manichaeanism and the sort of constant battle of good versus evil, and that we're the few and they're the many. And that also ties into the Shia sort of. I always found this very weird. One of my beloved friends, Jawad, who introduced this whole Iran stuff to me. Jawad is a good friend of mine. He studies at a liberal arts college here, and he's from Gilgit-Baltistan. The northeastmost regions where it's sort of China and sort of India, but it's sort of it's like a weird mix.
Yeah, you meet Pakistanis. I was in Lahore, and one day I got into a cab, and he just looked Chinese.
Yeah.
I said, who are you? He said, I'm from the way north of the country, from like the Himalayas. And I thought, wait a minute, there's Himalayas here? Where am I?
Oh, the pink salt comes from Pakistan. The Himalayan salt comes from
I didn't realize all that. You imagine my mindset. I thought, Pakistan is like, east of Iran. And then you don't realize Pakistan
is long.
It's almost like north-south.
Yes, it's not east-west.
It's like Italy. I don't know why in my mind I thought of it like Iran and Afghanistan. It's a north-south. It's like Italy. It's a north-south oriented country.
It's very
that runs.
No depth. It's just,
So I realized, wait a minute. Okay, so on the southern coast, you're across from Oman, and you're like next to East Africa, basically, in a way, by the water.
We have the Zanj people in the Exactly. We have African people.
In the north, you're like Asian. So it's like the depth is so I'm in a cab in Lahore, and Lahore is like a halfway point. And my cab driver just would look like an East Asian guy in America. And he says, yeah, I'm from the far north of Afghanistan. I said, are you like a Hazara Afghan? And he said, no, my family's multi-generationally from the northernmost tip of Pakistan. I just found that so fascinating. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a really racist white guy. I don't know, you know him, Lord Miles. You know this character? The guy who was... Yes.
So, he's so entertaining, man.
Great friend of mine. Every time he shows up to Pakistan. Yeah. I have to call him. I have to get your ass here. He's hilarious. He's this autistic little British guy. And he's like, oh Mo, you think if you guys take all your immigrants and just take them back to Pakistan, I'm fine with you guys seem nice. He loves Pakistan and Afghanistan, by the way, because they treat him nice and everything's cheap. And I remember once he drove a pickup truck from Kabul down to the Makran coast in Balochistan.
Oh, wow.
And then it was like a big vlog thing that he was doing. And at the end of it, when he came back round to the Lahore again, he said, why the hell do all of you look different? I was like, because we're different, Because I was like, we're different people. This is just like a mishmash of...
It's so funny.
He was shocked by it. Because in his head, we're like northern Punjabis who are run chicken.
You're all what Mirpuris. That's what they all are in the UK.
Yes, the deep cut. Yeah.
I know the lore. I went to the UK. I know the lore now.
Yeah,
I didn't realize, we don't usually immigrant communities just come from a very small region, and people's perception of the country. So Italian Americans, you mentioned the Sopranos earlier, they're all from Sicily and Naples and Calabria and Campania. They're not representative of the country in any meaningful way. They're just from a very small portion of the country. And same with Pakistani immigrants, and same with the Iranian immigrants in a way, not so much geographically, although they are mostly from Tehran, but culturally, maybe in Iran, they're more concentrated. So you find that the immigrant groups don't represent fully. Lord Miles, I think he should have just been born 200 years ago. He's just cursed by his time.
He's cursed by his time.
He should have been a colonial agent.
He should have been some kind of Magellan type character. You know what I mean? Like one of these guys.
Is he in prison in Saudi Arabia right now?
No, there's some trouble. I think he's a spy, by the way. I tell it to his face. I'm like, buddy, I think you're a spy.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that why the Afghans imprisoned him for a year?
I think I have some faith in the Persian Afghan intelligence. You know what I mean? The GDI, I think they arrested him for the right reasons. They kept him for a year.
Well, he should hire me to be his translator, his native informant, his comprador in Afghanistan. I'll speak to the tea guys.
You know, all he says is "mushkil nishte." That's all he says in Pashto. Mushkil nishte. That's all he says to everybody. Everybody just shakes off. He's like, "Mushkil nishte." No, I'm fine. Mushkil nishte. And he's a character. Yeah. He's a character. He's a bit of a. Why I think these guys exist, and it's clearly not just the culture reacting to immigration. There's also some sort of nefarious, insidious sort of element of the state. Mm-hmm. But that's not the point. My point is what we were actually talking about before I got distracted. My friend Jawad, he's from GB, so he's in that Oriental sort of weird vortex of where is he from, and he's a diehard. He's like a axis of resistance and lovely guy.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy, and he met some of your friends, and then we introduced them. And now, alhamdulillah, for a year or two, I've been very closely observing the Iranian people that I have access to and have met. And he said something so striking to me, by the way, the other day. It was genuinely like, I think you'll find it to be very profound. And he was very panicked about what was going on in Iran. Obviously, he speaks Farsi. He grew up in Qom. His dad studied there. So he has very deep connections with Iran, and he misses it, and so on and so forth. And he said to me, now I know what Sunnis feel like.
Oh, how so?
Because like
so interesting.
Wilayat Faqih is like, it's like sort of this umbrella for all the Shia all over the world, and post Ottoman Caliphate, Sunnis are sort of just like,
Oh, you feel lost. You feel like you have no center of gravity.
Yes.
So if Iran's regime changes, then the Shias have no center of gravity anymore. They're just like dispersed, like Sunnis are.
So I said to him,
so interesting.
I said, buddy, that's
profound.
I said, that's all of Shia history, though. Don't you know? Like that.
Yeah.
This is just you have the Fatimids, and then you have the Safavids. Yeah. This is unique moments in history. Otherwise, you would have been just, right. And he just couldn't wrap his head around it. Not because he was like he's not a bright kid. He's a very bright kid. But
I think all he knows is the post-Khomeini world.
That's all he knows, because he was born in like 97 or 98. He's a younger guy.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad. I felt really bad. I was like, this is messed up. This is his whole world
No,
view.
it's sad. You're right. That's why Shias, and a lot of Iranians don't understand this, have so much kinship for Iran. Iranians don't know that for Sunnis, it's like we're like the Ottomans for Sunnis, but as if the Ottomans never ended. Imagine if the Ottoman Empire was still around. I try to explain this to Sunnis too.
And it tweeted. And the Ottoman Empire tweeted. Think about that.
Yeah, I know. So whenever Sunni Pakistanis ask me, why do Pakistani Shias love Iran so much? We get it. Whatever, they're your Shia homeland, sure. But what is with this intense devotion? I say, think about how much you love the Ottomans. Imagine if they still existed. How devoted to the Ottoman Empire would you feel? How much strength would you feel from them? Wow, look, that's our guy. They fund us. We go and we study in Istanbul, and then we come home and we have a caliph. And when he gave his khutbahs, if every few months the caliph came out and gave a speech, wouldn't you sit and watch the speech live? Wouldn't you feel like, oh, wow, look, that's our caliph? I mean, think about it. It's like having a pope, except the Vatican is a big country that's almost becoming like an empire in the region, and it projects strength, and it's a civilization state, not just like a little de facto kind of, but not really country. And I try to explain this to people, like, think how beloved the pope is. Imagine if the pope had political power and a big state, and was actually, not only that, was going up against what people perceive as the empire and the evil axis of Western hegemony. That's very inspiring for people who live in places that have not been given their fair shake, who live in downtrodden places, or just Shias generally. You have centuries of oppression, of being the underdog, the little man. And then you have this inversion. You go from having a Sunni caliphate to Shias are just nothing, to the caliphate's destroyed and Sunnis are scrambling. All of a sudden, Shias are powerful. It's like this really weird situation that's kind of unprecedented in Islamic history. And most people don't think of that or really even give it any thought. They don't.
সো এই বিষয়টাকে আসলে দেখানোর জন্য আজকের এই রিঅ্যাকশনটা। এবং এই জিনিসটা তুমি যত বেশি রিয়েলাইজেশন করবা, যত বেশি রোমান্টিসাইজ করবা অটোমানদেরকে, ততই বেশি তুমি বুঝতে পারবা যে ইরানিরা বা ওভারঅল শিয়া যে মাযহাবটা আছে, শিয়া যে ক্লার্জি আছে, তাদেরকে এত বেশি ওভার হাইপ কেন করে। মানে তুমি যখন দেখবা কোনো শিয়াদেরকে, এটা হোক টুইটারে, এটা হোক ফেসবুকে, যে কোনো জায়গায় হোক, ইউটিউবে, তুমি দেখবা তাদের মানুষরা অসম্ভব লেভেলে ভালোবাসা আসলে শো করে। শিয়া যে ক্লার্জি আছে, শিয়া যে স্কলার আছে, স্পেশালি আয়াতুল্লাহ যে খামেনি আছে বর্তমানে যে ইরানের সুপ্রিম লিডার, তার প্রতি যে ভালোবাসা শিয়া স্কলারদের, তুমি যদি পাকিস্তানি আসলে কোনো কিছু আসলে কনজিউম করো তাহলে তুমি আসলে জানতে পারবা। তখন তুমি রিয়েলাইজেশন করবে তারা একটা উইয়ার্ড ফ্যাসিনেশন ডেভেলপ করতেছে, তারা একটা উইয়ার্ড ভালোবাসা আসলে শো করতেছে। এত কেন, মানে তখন তুমি আসলে এই পয়েন্টে আসলে আমার অনেকবার বারবার আসতো, বাট কোনো সময় আসলে আমি দেখতাম যে আসলে বড় কেউ ডিসকাশন করে কিনা বা স্কলারলি আসলে কেউ ডিসকাশন করে কিনা। সো হিয়ার ইট ইজ, আমাদের অটোমানদের প্রতি যে ভালোবাসা, আমাদের যেই ওনারশিপ, যে যদি আজকে খিলাফত থাকতো, আমরা এই যে আমাদের আলেমরা যে বারবার এই লাইনগুলো বলে, এই জন্যই তো আমাদের রোমান্টিসাইজ আমরা অটোমানদের সাথে এত বেশি করি। কারণ কি, আমরা একটা হেডকোয়ার্টারের মতন তখন মনে করি যে আমাদের হেডকোয়ার্টার ধ্বংস করা হয়েছে, আমরা এখন বিভিন্ন দিকে ছোট ছোট পিস হয়ে আসলে পড়ে আছে। শিয়াদের এখন অনেকটাই এরকম যে শিয়া ইরান রাষ্ট্র এখন দুনিয়ার সকল শিয়া ছোট ছোট মুভমেন্টকে তোমার ফান্ড করে, তারা পড়ালেখা করার জন্য চাইলে তেহরানে চাইতে পারে। সো তারা একটা কালচার তৈরি করছে, তারা একটা খিলাফতের মতোই কায়েম করছে, বাট এটা হলো শুধু শিয়া মাযহাবের। আমরা যেরকম, তুমি সৌদিদের কথা আসলে বলতে পারো যে সৌদিরা অনেকটা ওয়াহাবি মাযহাবের একটা খিলাফত কায়েম করছে, বাট যদি ওরা এটা আসলে বলে না, কারণ খিলাফত সুন্নিদের এখানে পুরো একটা ভিন্ন থিওলজি, ভিন্ন একটা স্ট্রাকচার দাবি করে। শুধু তুমি একটা সেন্ট্রাল এথনিসিটির উপরে ডেভেলপ করতে পারবে না, যেরকম আফগানিস্তান আসলে এখন করার চেষ্টা করতেছে, যে হানাফি মাযহাব থাকবে, হানাফি জুরিসপ্রুডেন্স থাকবে, প্লাস শুধুমাত্র পাশতুনদের উপরেই ওই আইন কানুন থাকবে, বা আফগানদের যত ছোট 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 গ্রুপ আছে। সো একটা এথনিসিটির উপরে তুমি ইসলাম কায়েম করতেছো, অন্যদেরকে তুমি আফগানিস্তানে ঢুকতেও দিতে ইচ্ছুক না, আফগানিস্তানের ভিতরে মানে পার্টিসিপেট করতে দিতে ইচ্ছুক না, এবং ওদেরকে তুমি ওই ইসলামের আমব্রেলা নিচে আসলে নিতে ইচ্ছুক না। সো ওটা আসলে খিলাফত না, তারা নিজেরা খিলাফত হিসেবে দাবি করে বা খিলাফতের ওই স্ট্রাকচারকে আসলে পরিপূর্ণ করে। সো ইরান যা আসলে এতদিন করে আসতেছিল, ওরা অনেকটা কিন্তু খিলাফতের মতোই বিহেভ করতো। কারণ দেখো, শিয়া মাযহাব কোন নির্দিষ্ট একটা এথনিসিটির উপরে কিন্তু তারা নাই, এখন তারা আরবদের উপরে আছে, তুর্কিশদের উপরে আছে, কুর্দদের উপরে আছে, আফগানদের উপরে আছে, পাকিস্তানে তো তোমার বালুচ, তুমি পাঞ্জাবি, মানে সকল এথনিসিটির উপরে তারা ছড়ায় ছিটায় আছে, তারা আফ্রিকাতেও আছে, মিশরেও আছে, তুমি চিন্তা করো। এবং এই সকল শিয়া ফলোয়ার কিন্তু আয়াতুল্লাহরে ইমাম হিসেবে মানে, যেরকমটা আমরা তুর্কিদেরকে খলিফা হিসেবে মানতাম। তুর্কিদের যেই রাজা হইতো সে কিন্তু অটোমেটিক্যালি তুর্কিশ রাজা হইতো, প্লাস অটোমানদের তোমার প্লাস খিলাফতের খলিফা হইতো পুরো মুসলিম উম্মাহ। সো ওই যে একটা ওনারশিপ, ওই যে একটা তোমার নিজের বলে আসলে আমরা বলতে পারতাম আমাদের একটা ঘর আছে, ওই যে ভালোবাসা, ওই যে ডিভোশন, ওই যে একটা আসলে স্পিরিচুয়াল তোমার কানেকশন, যেটা আসলে খিলাফতের জন্য জান দিতে পারি আমরা। যখন এই কথাগুলো এখন বলি, যখন খিলাফত এক্সিস্ট করে না, তুমি একবার চিন্তা করো যদি আজকে অটোমানরা এক্সিস্ট করতো এবং 2 মাস 3 মাস পরে খলিফা আইসা ইস্তানবুলে আয়া সোফিয়াতে খুতবা দিত, ওই জিনিসটা আসলে আমরা চিন্তা করি কতটা রোমান্টিসাইজ করি। যে ফিলিস্তিনের এই অবস্থা হইতো না, রোহিঙ্গা ইস্যু হইতো না, সিরিয়াতে এই হইতো না, এই যে একটা রোমান্টিসাইজ আমরা করি, এই সেম জিনিসটা শিয়া মাযহাবের ফলোয়ার এখন ইমাম আয়াতুল্লাহর সাথে আসলে করে। ঠিক আছে, কারণ ইরানের সুপ্রিম লিডার প্লাস শিয়া মাযহাবের ইমাম, এই দুই জিনিসটার একটা কম্বিনেশন তারা ডেভেলপ করতে পারছে।
One of three incidents that come to my mind, the Fatimids, the Safavids, and even the Safavids were more regional, thing. Fatimids were a bigger deal, obviously, but like it's similar in its scale. Like you have Iran, and then you have all this in Lebanon and in Yemen, and Saudi Arabia is scared, and then everybody has to sort of kowtow to the policies and so on. So that was one thing. The other thing, which is a consistent byline I've observed since I was a teenager, obviously, because pre-teens, you're like an idiot. Everybody's just, you're Muslim brothers, whatever. You know what I mean? You don't know what anyone believes in or anything. And I had a lot of Shia friends growing up, and they were, I tried to understand the self-flagellation and the hatred for the Sahaba, and I had these all kinds of conversations. And the one byline I got was that there's a very bleak sort of view of the linear, trajectory of history. Sunnis have like this rosy pictured Rasulullah, Khilafat Rashida, Umayyi kingship, Abbasid kingship, and so on, and then the Turks come in, Seljuks, and so we have the clear byline, like even the South Asian rulers have to pledge fealty to the Ottomans, even in posturing only. But it's we have a sort of clear, and this is our downbeat. We have even a hadith tradition in Bukhari and Muslim, which actually gives a timeline for from the beginning to the end. Yeah, Sunnis have, it's like a mainstream Sahih graded hadith, and it informs a lot of people's thinking, which is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the caliphate of the righteous, the kingship of the Muslims, foreign rule. And then again, and that informs a lot of Sunni modernism, by the way, Sunni political modernism, like Jamaat, and is like the revival, is the idea of the revival, and then and the eventual re-establishment of a caliphate, and those kinds of ideas, even if just in the imagination of a young boy or young girl, right? But I realized it took me years that maybe when I was 19, 20, that my Shia friends, my Shia brethren in the community and in Iran and anywhere in the world maybe, but obviously my sample size was desis, is that in their imagination, it's not that. The picture is that Islam is like is almost it's a hidden tradition. It's more batini, that the mainstream is oppressive. That we are the few and the righteous, and they are the many. And the Sahaba wronged Ali, and then the Umayyads were just an inevitable sort of conclusion of that wronging, and the Abbasids were like sort of like the Empire
totally
Strikes Back or whatever, and I was like, this is I personally, obviously, this is my disposition. Otherwise, I'd be Shia. I would accept the beliefs that I found it to be very bleak,
It is a sad view of the world. I agree.
It is a very sad
depressing
view of the final religion. You know what I mean?
Everyone's always, it's like justice never prevailed. The wrong person is always in charge. The truth was always sidelined. I think it's possible to have a healthy bit of skepticism about power to, as a believing Sunni, say, the state is always going to propagate one thing. To say that you can view the Shia narrative as helpful in pointing out things that Sunnis didn't want to talk about, but you don't have to accept every critique, for example. So the way I would view it, for example, you could say that, their point of view regarding the sidelining of the Ahlul Bayt is correct, but you don't have to go as far as to say like, the Caliph succession is just totally invalid. Or you can say that, yes, their point that Islam should be connected to the Prophet ﷺ's family, that they have a special rank, that they were with him the most, that they have some special understanding, that they have some spiritual weight now, that even Sufis believed in the past is true, but you don't have to go the full length and say, okay, if like, you have some special ability if you're a Sayyid that a non-Sayyid doesn't have. And by the way, that idea has, even though South Asia is majority Sunni, it's culturally, because of that Persian influence and Shias, it's very Shiaized in a way. So Pakistani Sunnis are also very
even
big on
kingship,
Sayyid
by the
stuff.
way. There was two claims to lordship and kingship in the region for like vassals, and when they would strike out and make their own states, it was either Chinggisid or it was Alawi. You had to either prove that you were a son of Ali or you had a son of Chinggis.
So some of them would claim they're both.
Subhanallah, I guess they would.
Some would say, I'm a Sayyid from one side and I have Chengiz Khan Yeah, so there's all these nuances that I think that people either don't understand or they don't want to hear, or their guard will go up. So if you tell a Shia, look, then the narratives, they're very compelling, but here's a counterpoint. Even Rumi, for example, says something like that as Mastabi. Or if you tell the Sunnis, the majority of Muslims, it's unlikely that they're all wrong about everything, but here's a few points Shias bring up about hadith and Islamic history that is worth bringing up. No one wants to hear this. Everyone will either get their guard up if they're religious, or if they're secular, they're like, brother, yeah, who cares? Mashallah, we're all Muslims, which is good. That's fine. So there's not actually a hearing gear, gusha, as you say, other than people like you and people in the Sufi tradition who actually want to come to that kind of nuance.
The left in Pakistan and subcontinent is very Shia coded.
Yeah, that tends to be the case, I think. Shias are more about, because it works, justice, the wrong people are in charge.
Yeah, no, all the left's like sort of the imagery, the romanticism is all Hussein and Yazid, by the way. That's all the imagery. Yeah. The poetry, the left poetry, a lot of the literature, it's all like Hussein versus Yazid and power and capital versus,
That's why leftists love Iran. Whenever right-wingers, again, everything is just a culture war and a performance. Leftists are so stupid to support Iran because Iran is a theocracy and leftists are secular. I mean, looking past that stupid facile thing, there's a very obvious connection to the revolutionary nature. Again, the wrong people are in charge, cosmic justice. There's even a book by Thomas Sowell called The Quest for Cosmic Justice, which is his kind of conservative critique of social justice activism. This is from like the 90s, talking about how...
Is he the African economist, the African-American gentleman?
Yeah, exactly. And
the student of Milton
he's from Harlem.
I remember him.
Yeah, he's from right around. He's literally from like five minutes from where I'm sitting right now.
Wow.
And I think he's like 90 now. God.
MashaAllah.
And he basically said that it's for left-wing activists, it's not enough that they just put justice in the world. They have to have cosmic justice. They need to be like divine justice. So it's not just enough to say Black Americans, justice is that Black Americans will get all the rights of white Americans and even an economic boost and even like a hiring boost. But no, we have to have a cosmic justice, like a reckoning. There needs to be like a spiritual element. So his argument for where leftists went awry in America is that they took on this spiritual, holy, pietistic, with the code words and the pronouns and the apologies and the self-flagellation as if they're like a heretic. Like it took on a religious character, but that actually made it more kind of in line with Iran, because Iran also has that religious character associated with its leftist thought. So, or its Islamist thought, I should say. So that's why leftists and Iranians.
I don't like that word Islamist, by the way. I think
you don't like. I don't like it either. But I have this
made
policy.
up. Some Zionist guy made it up. I read the other day, and I was shocked.
I believe that it's made up.
It was coined by some Israeli guy, by the way. Not even.
I believe it totally. I have this policy of just trying to deal with the idea and not worry about the name you give it. That's also why I don't really care that Rumi is called Rumi. I know some Rumi, people who say Rumi is misunderstood like me and we should improve his understanding of Rumi, who are very adamant that we kind of make this push to call him Balkhi in the West. And I say, look, man, I'm not really worried about the title so much as long as the idea is there. So I agree. The word Islamist is reductive. And I've even said before on the record that the way Islam is defined by, the Israelis you mentioned, every Muslim almost, other than the most self-defeated, could be considered an Islamist. Like if you say any Muslim, do you want to have a civilization? Do you want to have, any type of this Islamicate? Well, that will include having rules that are inspired by Islam, if not directly. The same way that Westerners have. Why are they banning abortion? Because they're Christian. Are they officially a Christian country? No, but would you ask a white American, do you want this to be a Christian country in any sense? They'll say yes. So are they a Christian Islamist? So I agree. It is reductive and it is designed to make any Islamic civilization taboo, to make any existence of...
It's a real war on terror BS kind of thing.
No, it is. You're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so strange. And now we see it all. I see it all in place. You know what I mean? All the rhetoric they built up, all the films and TV and academia that backed it all up. Now all the pieces are on the board, and now I see them moving in on Iran. And what we fear here, from both a moral sort of out of love for Iran and the people, and also even in a cynical sense, is, God forbid, the Maazallah, the splintering of the state, like in Iraq or Libya or one of these things.
Oh, it'd be terrible. Yeah.
No, but it's
they
not
want
even,
it for all of us. They
Yeah,
want it
that's
for
what they
Iraq.
want.
So Afghanistan, Pakistan, they want to splinter all of us. The Hindu nationalists want to splinter Pakistan. Some people in Afghanistan want to split it into 3 countries: Iran, Iraq, Turkey. They want to split us all, make us a million little statelets to make us just as divided as we were when they colonized us. And another thing about this is that you mentioned God. I was going to say something, and the thought just slipped my mind. I think you were saying we observe. Sorry, I know our hours are crazy. This is so early.
It's
Sorry,
fine.
excuse me if a thought escapes my mind.
No, you can really excuse, man. I mean,
Anyway, they want to kind of just, this is what it was. So the good news is, though, for the post-liberal world, is that in the past, they justified all their power grabs and impositions with ideology because of liberalism and the rules-based order. So they wouldn't say we're attacking Iraq and Afghanistan for, totally cynical political power move reasons. They'd say, oh, the women and Islam and democracy and all these things. The good news is now the West will slowly become like China. I mean, if you saw Mark Carney's speech at Davos after Trump, he said there's a new world. Liberalism was a lie. The global-based order was a lie that we all pretended existed. Now we're going to stop pretending. We're going to make deals with China, all that stuff. Now they will be like China, where they will just say, we're invading you to take your oil. Like Trump said, we're gonna take the oil. Okay, the oil is ours now. We have buddies in Chevron.
it's beautiful oil over there.
Yeah, beautiful oil. So now they won't say, oh, we're doing this because they will say about Iran because we're still on the fumes. But in 20 years, they will stop harassing us for the most basic practice of Islam. They won't create Quilliam and all these NGOs. They'll just say, we're doing this for politics. We want your resources. That's why. They'll be like China. China is not buddies with us because they love our foreheads or our eyebrows or our biryani. They're just there for pragmatistic reasons. We're going to make deals. We're going to buy and sell oil. We're going to sell you our stuff. We're going to sell you our cars. We're going to take your grain. Thank you, China. Whereas America is like, well, we want to do business, but we really need to see this change. And then it's just like, just please, can you just let us breathe for a second? Just let us be us.
Yeah, let us be. We're gonna be boy lovers. Don't mess with us. Don't try to change the social fabric of our society.
Yeah, that's it for today. Inshallah, আগামীকাল আবার দেখা হইতেছে।